Hi, and welcome back to Broken and Brilliant. I'm Carrie O'Toole with Carrie O'Toole Ministries, and I'm joined again by my co-host, Melinda Cadwallader. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
And we have a wonderful, fun, special guest today. I'm really excited to have you. This is Rebecca Barth, just to give you a little foretaste.
Well, I was very impressed that you said her name correctly. Because she knows that I used to struggle every time I introduced her.
I think it's only taken, I don't know, 8 or 10 podcasts before I got it right. The first couple times I had to start over every time.
It takes some time.
Yes.
Cadwallader.
There.
Yeah.
You know, it's phonetic. So what's our problem? It's phonetic.
It's too many syllables.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
I don't know. I lived in Wisconsin for 2 years in high school, in 9th and 10th grade, in this little tiny town called Oconomowoc. And it's
Right.
It's Oconomowoc.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I heard Oconomowoc. Get that? Like, can no more walk. Yeah. Anyway, that kind of reminded
I have a
me.
song. CADWALLADER.
Wow.
Why didn't you sing
is
that on the first
impressive.
podcast?
Because that's not great. That's not good stuff.
I'll never forget it now.
Well, now you know.
A little Mickey Mouse. Okay.
Yes, I love it.
Well, welcome, Rebecca.
Well, thank you. I've already been saying hi over there. We don't have any problems doing the Ferris Bueller thing here today, do we?
You be yourself.
I love it.
You be yourself.
Love it.
Yeah. If anybody's acting up, you can tell on them. I don't do whatever you want.
It's just us talking, right?
It's
Nobody's
just
watching?
us girls.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes nobody else.
No, not true. Not true. I'm following your subscription. I'm a subscriber
Did you
on
subscribe?
YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes, it's great.
Bueller. Anybody who wants to subscribe. YouTube. Broken and Brilliant. Subscribe. You'll get all the wonderful podcasts
She
we do
paid
here.
me $20 to say that.
I'll pay you later. Rebecca, I met you a year ago.
Something like
maybe?
that. Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember. When we were both at somebody's house learning about a speaking opportunity is what this was. And we had never met, and you were there with your friend.
That was our first meeting.
Yes.
Oh,
so you were there with your friend Sarah, which you're going to be talking about in just a minute. You're going to be talking about
I know.
Sarah.
I'm totally gossiping about her.
That's funny, as you'll see in a minute. But anyway, so that's where we met, and I heard your story together with Sarah, and I was just like, I have never heard anything like this. And then you heard my story, and
I've never heard anything like that.
yeah, we're all kind of these unique people, and we ended up having coffee, and you had a radio program at that time, and I was on and got to talk to you a little bit there, and we've just kind of discovered we have a lot in common. And I think one of the biggest things we have in common is we've all been through some really trying times. Yes. I mean, desperately trying times. And we've grown, and we've learned things about ourselves, and we've changed, and we've become different people. Better people, really, I hope, and continuing to become better people. It's not like we're all great in there all the way, but...
well, I am. Okay.
Well, Melinda and I are a little more humble. No, I'm just...
It's probably true.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm becoming myself.
Yeah.
I feel like some of those events helped me become the true person that I am.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, why don't you share a little bit about that with us? What was this defining moment, or one of the defining moments in your life, really?
Sure. So I had several friends in the neighborhood. We have a really close neighborhood street. Mm-hmm. One of my friends on the street I talked to every day. We talked all the time. We hung out. We were really close. Her name is Sarah. And over time, just developed that tight friendship. One night there was a party at a neighbor's house. My next door neighbor had a New Year's Eve party. Everybody went over there. I wasn't feeling well. I left early and turned on my baby monitor. And through the baby monitor, I got to hear what all of my friends, especially Sarah, thought of me. So it was a charming moment. We laugh about it now. At the time, it was devastating.
So I'm assuming this was not about how beautiful your hair was and what a lovely mother you were.
Yes.
All those times where you wish you were a fly on the wall, and you were a fly on the wall.
I was. It's
kind
kind
of cool. That's kind of interesting.
You've wished that you were a fly on the wall, but when you actually were a fly on the wall, did you kind of wish that you had not?
I wish I had. I absolutely wish I hadn't heard it. Now, it is incredible. It's changed my whole life. I'm so glad this event happened. But the event doesn't stop there. Now, I always tease that she gossiped about me and then I forgave her. The end. There's our story.
That's not a very exciting story.
Because at least that leaves me in a good light and everything. But what happened after that? Actually, I struggled that night. Do I confront them? Do I go over? What do I do? I spent probably 45 minutes trying to figure out what to do. But I listened. It felt like an hour. It was probably more like 15, 20 minutes of them talking about me. And I was in tears with my husband.
Was there just an internal struggle? You've got to be feeling anger. You're feeling...
betrayed.
Yeah. Shamed, embarrassed, all of those things.
Yes. Well, and the interesting part for me is that what they were saying wasn't ringing true for me at that time. I didn't understand how could they say these things. For example, one of the things that they were saying was that I was an angry person. I'll get to why they said that in a moment. And then the other part was that I was a religious hypocrite, which at the time also didn't ring true, which both of those things were true from the way that I think I was a religious hypocrite. I think that was true. But on the angry side, what they were seeing was exactly the way I was showing up.
Right.
Because
and
I was letting...
probably came from hurt, I'm imagining.
Oh, absolutely. It came from being broken. But it was a safety... it was really a safety tool for me.
Well, in counseling jargon, we call it anger is a secondary emotion. That's the thing people feel safe exhibiting to the world.
Right.
The hurt, which is underneath, we hide, and it comes out as anger. So, just... little tip there, if you see somebody who's angry, think to yourself, what are they hurting over?
Yes.
Because that's the truth.
That it was the truth.
Yeah.
That's so interesting that you say that, because that's exactly what was happening. I was afraid of, I was hurt. I had been hurt in many female relationships in the past. And so then I was afraid to be vulnerable with people. So
you were putting on a front.
Definitely was bossy. And I'm so bossy, but
do that towards the camera.
Some things don't change. But bossy with a smile now. But yeah, it was about really starting to understand that when we don't show people our true, authentic selves, they will see something. They will see something. But getting back
may
to
not be the thing you're trying to get them to see.
That's right. But getting back to that event, so I finally, my husband is the type, he would have waited, and he encouraged me to wait. And that isn't right or wrong. It's just where he felt like I should have been. But I'm a confronter. It's certainly somebody who's bossy is going to. So I went over there and knocked on the door. They all
same night.
Okay. They all apologized. There was a lot of chaos there. But that started a series of she said, I'd gossip about her, she'd gossip about me. So it's really easy to say, oh, well, they gossiped about me that night, and so therefore I'm, the victim. But no, I would tell the story so that I could look the victim, and and everything that happened after that, we both had such a part in, and even I'm going to talk about how I had a part in them gossiping about me too, frankly, because I wasn't showing up as my best self, as a self that I was. God created me with certain gifts, and I was hiding those or disguising them or not letting them be on full display. Yeah. And so when we don't communicate our true selves to other people,
you look phony. And that really bothers people.
People know.
Yeah, people know when you're hiding and when you're acting and when you're pretending. And it feels insulting sometimes. We've all done it. Yeah. Everybody knows what that feels like. Some people live it 24/7 and really have never even, they don't even take the time to really, there's too much pain in there, so they put on the show. Right. So to be able to look at that and go, is this really true?
Right.
Who am I really? Where did that take you?
It played into even the religious hypocrisy as well. I went to church on Sunday, and that's all I did with church. And that's all I did with God, and he looked great on the mantle. It dusted him off on Sunday mornings, and then he went right back up. And so that was where I was hanging out. Mm-hmm. What was amazing about this experience is I feel like it's changed everything. Changed learning how to get to peace with other parts of my past. I think sometimes we think we're okay with an event in our past because it's either a lot of time has passed or we just don't talk about it as much anymore. But I'll tell you that we are fully at peace what happened to us. We eventually reconciled 2 years later. 2 years later. During that
now this is in your neighborhood.
In the neighborhood, so
where everybody is friends every day.
So as she would be standing there and I'd have to drive by, I would duck down so she wouldn't see me. Driving, I'd duck down.
Like she wouldn't know
so
your
that
car.
she, well, I don't want to look at her. I don't want to see her. And same thing. She'd have to come get the mail, which is right by my house. She didn't get the mail for 2 years. Her kids did. For 2 years, she didn't even want to.
So were either of you like fighting for the relationship, or was one person and the other one was kind of like, no, this is just done for now? And what was going on there with the trying to rebuild or trying to stay connected?
Or just running?
Or was it just running?
Well, at first, when she apologized, and I forgave her, here's what she would say. She apologized over and over and over again. By the way, I share this story with Sarah all the time.
Yeah.
Totally have permission to share everything.
Well, and you've written a book together.
Yes. So I want to clarify that.
You're not gossiping right
and we
now.
love her. We love Sarah. We all
Yes.
know her. We love her.
In fact, we'll have her on sometime.
Well, and so she was apologizing on a regular basis. That's what she would say. What I would say is that she was apologizing, but people were telling me she was doing things. Now, listen to that. I was listening to gossip about what she was doing instead of just listening to her and taking her actions at face value. So I think sometimes when there's an event like that, certain personalities feed into it. Oh, they don't like it. Well, let me do this and let me fuel that and let me say, oh, well, did you know that, a year ago she said this about you then? And then you hear everything that's happened. And
it rekindles everything.
Yes. And frankly, at that point, we had gossiped about each other prior to that. We didn't really understand how much gossip can hurt. And we didn't have a ministry about stopping gossip. So sure, we had all those past stories, but they would just fuel that fire in both of us. And when she would call and apologize, sometimes I would say, fine, okay. And then sometimes I would say, no, I'm really not over it. And so on my side, I just kept letting that grow, letting this little thing that happened become this big, ugly beast and letting it dominate every part of my life. I would be brushing my teeth and somehow Sarah would come to mind and I'd be, oh man, I just can't stand her.
I can't believe she did that.
I can't believe she did that. And then there's this and then there's that. Yeah. But when you are truly, truly at peace with an event, you don't think about it anymore. Other than when we go and speak and share our story.
Or when you see it happening in the world, you see somebody else getting hurt from it, it may remind you. But you learn from it and you see it kind of from a different perspective. It's like a part of your past. It helped you grow. You've learned from it, but you don't feel the twinge.
That's what I should have said. It's not that you don't think about it. It will come up. You'll remember it from different events, but you don't feel it in that painful way anymore. Yeah. Once you've gotten there. And that takes a while. I think you have to own up to what you have brought to that situation. Even when you think right now you're a victim. And I think that's where I hung out a lot in that story. I thought, oh, I'm the victim here. But that wasn't really true. There are things that I could have done prior to that event to change what happened. Things I could have done after that event to change what happened. Certainly I could have controlled my mouth after that event. I could have controlled that victim, that victim mentality that I was sharing. Well, she did this to me. And but before then, I could have been working more on myself and allowing people to see the tender side of me. I don't think I even cried very often before then. And now I'm a crier. Sorry.
Can you do it? Do it for us right now. Just kidding.
But I mean, if something moves me, I will cry. I remember after that, when I was pregnant with my second child, I was crying. I cried at the show Leverage. If you've ever seen that, my husband's like, how does anybody cry at Leverage? I don't know. This is so sad. Anyway, but that's okay. That's who I am.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it and I express it, and that's who I am.
Yeah.
And that's okay for me.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's quite a story. And how did you guys finally reconcile the whole thing?
That is the most important piece of the story. I never wanted to be her friend again. Never. We hated each other. She didn't want to be my friend again. After she apologized to me a million times, she's like, this is it. We're done. But God came into the story and he kept putting it on my heart and on her heart at the same time, separately, that we needed to apologize. Now, on her side, she's saying, I've apologized a million times to Sunday. I'm not doing it again, God. No way. And on my end, I'm saying, did you not get the memo? She gossiped about me. Why am I needing to apologize? I hadn't gotten there. It took me 6 months to understand that I had any responsibility in that. And I think when it comes to gossip, we do have a responsibility in it. We're not, if you are somebody who is gossiped about, certainly the people who gossiped about you are responsible. And that is something that they need to own up to and take responsibility for, take action to do something about. But we all have a piece of that. Now, I want to make sure I differentiate that from lying. If somebody's completely lying, that's one thing. But if they're gossiping, they're taking some truth and sharing it among other people. So lying is, that's slander. That's a whole different kind of event. But with gossip, it hurts so much because I think there's a little piece of truth in there that we see about ourselves that we don't want to address or aren't ready to address.
Well, it's like holding up the ugly mirror.
Yeah.
Because gossip, usually you're not gossiped about in a pretty way.
Right.
You're gossiped about in an ugly way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whatever it is, competition, jealousy, just, whatever it happens to be. But it's like somebody's holding up a mirror right in front of your face, and it's the ugly that you see.
But here's the thing. When you turn the mirror around and you try to understand why they gossip, that will help. That will help. When we're doing our talk, when we're sharing our story, we are amazed at how many women come up to us later and say, if I take gossip out of my female friendships, I will have nothing to talk about.
Right.
It is an
I know that can
ongoing
happen
thing.
in friendships. I think families can be built, is like extended families
Yes.
can be built around gossip, where nobody talks to anybody else, and so you call this one person and so what's going on? Well, so and so is doing this, and so you get all the news, and you think that that's okay, and it's like, you know what, if you want to know about them, you call them.
Right.
Hear it from them.
Right. Well, we've done this little experiment. We didn't plan it as an experiment, but we have events where women meet together, and there's no gossip, no games. So do women leave there and gossip? Probably. We all gossip. It's not like anybody gets perfect on that. But at the event, when you're walking in, this is a She Shares event. We're not going to be doing that.
Yeah.
And it has created some lasting relationships with people that have just met in a way where you remove all of that baggage.
Well, this is where Melinda and I met.
That's how we met, right?
It was from one of your She Shares
nice.
A coffee meetup.
Yes. And then I've been to an event, and it is amazing. That's where I met Jenny.
Yep.
So we've had, I'm finding these are people I want to be in relationship with. Yeah. They're not all perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
well, except for me.
Well, other than you. They're not all, and Sarah. You're both the only perfect ones in the group. But what I love about it is you can say, here's where I'm hurting, here's where I'm struggling, but I'm not going to act like a victim, and I'm not going to badmouth somebody in the midst of my struggle. Right. Help me see my part. Help me grieve this if it's something I need to grieve. Yeah. And it's a very authentic place to be, because you can't go in there and bash somebody else.
Right.
Yes.
That would be kind of bad, at least at one of those events.
Well, there's an intolerance that you walk into. Just like, my daughter's high school has a zero tolerance for any kind of tobacco on the premises. And you walk in there knowing that. And so your posture changed, your behaviors, what you carry with you, everything changes when you step into territory that there's an intolerance to something negative and destructive. And that is safety. That brings such a safety that a lot of women do not feel safe in different communities and friendships. And, we say, we wear these masks all the time. Well, consider you're not safe enough for me to remove the mask. Like, we have to create these safe places now, and that's what you guys have done. And I appreciate that.
Well, it's like a rare place that you can go and know that you will not be bad-mouthed, at least at that place. Maybe you will all the way there and all the way home and whatever, but at that place, it's like a safe haven where you know that you can let your guard down, you can be authentic and say, I'm scared to death about this, or I'm really excited about this, and anywhere else that I say that I'm excited, it sounds like I'm being arrogant, But here I know I can express my excitement, and you guys aren't going to go, can you believe she... I mean, everybody joins in and says, how awesome for you.
Uplifting.
Well, I think you're also identifying and calling out something that's not comfortable to talk about, but it needs to be talked about. Like, we hear that, gossip's bad, but do we know what it looks like? Do we know what it smells like? Do we know what happens with it? And when we bring it to the surface, like you guys are doing, it creates an awareness that is, we're on alert. Okay, what do I hear? Oh, does that classify? And you're bringing that awareness that's so necessary.
And it's not like you want to be, every comment you make... Right. I have to watch my words, and I'm nervous now because I can't even speak in front of these people. But you start to become aware. What is gossip? What is not?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's really important. We're just about out of time, and we're going to have you back on another show here, Rebecca, so that we can talk a little bit more about this, because I think it's such an important issue.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us here today. It's amazing to hear somebody be willing to say, I really messed this up.
I did. But with God's help, we were able to reconcile, and now we're impacting other women.
Absolutely.
Helping them communicate in a different way.
But just thank you. Because a lot of people just will not go there. It's like, this has been done to me. This has been, you're going, man, it was done to me. And then I did unto others.
Maybe not use it that way. Do unto others and then
let's do unto others. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me. I really loved hanging out with you.
You bet. Thank you, Melinda, and thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you back here next time on Broken and Brilliant.